I have not had my coffee yet. Okay. Activating voiceover mode. Hey everyone, welcome back to a Genshin weapon review video. We have a new set of weapons in 5.6, including a 5-star polearm and a 4-star event bow. In this video, we'll cover what these weapons do, who can best use them, and explore the niche options for potential users. Disclaimers, timestamps, social media links, music credits, and my Discord server link are all down below. No further stalling, let's just hop right in. First weapon is our 5-star polearm, Symphonist of Sense. Very fancy name, by the way, I like it very much. It will have a 608 base attack and a 66.2% crit damage substat. For its passive at R1, the user's attack is always increased by 12%. If they are off-field, they gain another 12% attack. If they use any form of a healing ability, both they and the characters that received the healing will get a 32% attack bonus for 3 seconds, and this can occur even while the user is off-field. This works very well not just as a personal buff, but also as a solid support weapon. We can use this as an opportunity to quickly explain Escoffier's kit and how it aligns as a signature weapon for her. She's someone who scales with attack for both her healing and her damage. Her damage is an off-field ability, meaning that she will be making use of that extra 12% attack. And while her burst healing is a one-time occurrence, her A1 passive grants the active character extra healing over time, extending the passive uptime. In total, Escoffier maxes out the bonus at 56% attack, while also giving your active character a 32% attack buff. And it's a pretty smart way to give extra support to some of her intended on-fielders, while avoiding power creep on, the others. So who else can use this? While the crit damage substat isn't that useful on Iansan, she can make great use of the passives. Her attack buff is based on her current attack, and is a dynamic buff. This means that once she swaps off field and gains the extra 12% attack, that will be taken into account for her burst buff. Her A4 also provides minimal healing, but 1 point of HP healing is all she needs to activate the passive. In the end, this weapon really just doubles down on her already existing attack buffs. As for other users, we don't have people who can capitalize that well on every aspect of the passive. The other attack scalers don't have continuous healing, and our dedicated healers don't scale on attack. Fortunately, unlike other weapons in the past, this one is actually pretty user-friendly. The crit damage substat and initial 12% attack bonus is an overall nice stat stick for any DPS character, even the ones that are on-fielders. If you want to start incorporating the other parts of the passive, this is where things get a little harder. Starting off with off-field attack units, characters with snapshotting abilities like Xiangling or Rosaria won't be able to utilize that off-field 12% attack bonus. By the time they swap off, their burst will have already snapshotted their attack, and the extra buff won't apply. On the flip side, off-fielders with dynamic attack scaling abilities will be able to utilize this buff. Shenhe's burst damage snapshots, so her personal damage won't gain that attack bonus. However, the Icy Quill buff she provides with her skill is a dynamic ability. This means that once she swaps off-field, that buff will gain the extra 12% effect. The other great unit for this is Emilie. As a dedicated off-field DPS with a dynamic ability, she not only makes use of the 24% attack, but also that crit damage substat. It's a very good alternative option for anyone who wants to give Emilie a nice weapon, but doesn't have her signature. I don't have that problem though. The other category for this weapon is our healers. Since a 32% attack buff lasts for 3 seconds, it's only going to work well on characters with consistent healing over time. Fortunately, our dedicated healers have this effect. And even better, most of the DPS units that they support are attack scaling. Yao Yao's skill will change its target depending on how high your teammate's HP is, so you can't guarantee that you get healed consistently. If you stand close enough to the enemy, you can still be in range of the radishes to receive the healing and its corresponding attack buff. But because there's potential in getting an inconsistent buff, she's a bit on the lesser recommended end. Not only that, but a lot of Quicken characters have primary scaling with EM, so even if the attack buff is viable, it might not be as effective. Moving on, Chevrez has very consistent healing after using her skill, and so she can make great use of that 32% attack buff for that dedicated on-fielder. Every DPS character within the Electro and Pyro roster is attack scaling, so none of her overload comps have any anti-synergies with this weapon's support function. Finally, Mika's Burst has team-wide healing, with a steady stream of active character healing over time. The current characters who really specialize in physical damage are Razor, Shenhe, Eula, and Fremine, who are all attack scalers. The best part about this aspect of the weapon is that they can support snapshotting off-fielders like Fischl or Xiangling. Just let them get healed, and within that window, they can cast their abilities to gain the full 32% attack bonus, even while off-field. Overall, while this weapon is specifically intended to be used for Escoffier, the utility it provides can be broken down into categories, with varying characters being able to utilize its different effects. How viable it is in numbers is something the more math-based theory crafters can figure out. I'm just glad it's not another hyper-specific piece of gear. Next up is the other new weapon, a 4-star event bow called Sequence of Solitude. What is with both of these weapons having SOS as their acronym? Anyway, it has a 510 base attack with a 41.3% HP substat. At R1, when one of the user's attacks hits an enemy, they will deal an additional instance of damage equal to 40% of their max HP, which can occur once every 15 seconds. At R5, which is the level most of you will get it at, this has an 80% HP scaling. The passive is the exact same as the event Catalyst from 5.0, but unlike that weapon roster, there aren't a lot of bow users with HP scaling. Only 3 characters, actually. The first one is Diona. Having HP scaling on her shield and healing, she'll provide a higher value of damage with this ability. With that being said, she has pretty high ER needs, which is why weapons like Favonius or Sacrificial are ones that she favors. If all else fails, this will still be a new option for her. Second character is Yelan. The passive hit from the bow will benefit from physical damage and crit bonuses. While she isn't a physical DPS, she will likely have crit stats lined up, which means that personal damage of hers might be a bit more relevant. We do already have free weapons for her. Recurve is a 3-star choice that actually provides more HP than the event bow, although its passive has little to be desired. Energy weapons like Fav or Sac once again help with her higher ER needs, and on the crit side, Slingshot or Sharpshooter's Oath are 3-star choices with the best value for crit stats on a 3-star bow. Once again, those passives aren't amazing on Yelan, but if you're focusing more on the substats, then the event bow isn't as competitive. Finally, Sigewinne can use this bow very well. Recurve once again provides a higher HP substat, but considering her kit is already healing based, the passive on there is especially useless. On top of that, Sigewinne stacks a lot of HP already, so that hit of damage will be much higher, even without crit stats to bump it up. Now, here's a fun little crackhead theory for you all. 5.2 gave us a sword with a shield passive that hinted towards Citlali synergy. 5.4 gave us the Polearm with a movement speed bonus, something that Iansan can capitalize on with her movement-based buffing. To be honest, I don't really see how this weapon is going to hint towards any new character, but let's see what I can pull out of my ass. What if one of the characters in 5.7 is a bow user with HP scaling? It would make sense to have the substat, but that's a boring prediction. So, to sprinkle the crack in this crackhead theory, what if they're also some kind of physical damage dealer? As I mentioned before, weapon passive damage is always considered physical damage, so it would mean said character makes these hits of damage even more potent. Look, I've had some pretty wild ideas in the past that actually got pretty close, but if this idea turns out to be true, I will start labeling myself as a Genshin prophet, and I will be annoying about it. So for your sanities, you better hope I'm wrong. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. I am very pleased that the 5-star weapon is actually pretty useful on a larger handful of the Polearm roster, instead of just Escoffier. If you decide to pull, or if you lose your weapon gacha, this will be a viable option on many of your characters. Now on the other hand, the HP bow exists. It's not as special, but there aren't a lot of HP bows in general, so it will serve as a good alternative, whether it be in its subset or through its objectively more versatile passive. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like and subscribing to support the channel. Let me know in the comments whether you'll be pulling for the new Polearm and what characters you plan to use either weapon on. And once again, if you're interested in sharing your own concept ideas, consider joining my Discord server, link in the description. Thanks again for watching everyone, and I will see you all next time. Bye! Finally done recording. Time to get some coffee.